Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2. And today I'm going to be giving you part 14 of What If Naruto Was a Smart Prodigy. Remember to get this one to 200 likes as usual, share this with all of your friends on your social media platform, and also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Was Sent to the Marvel World. And enjoy that guys, and later on I'm going to be posting a new episode of What If Naruto Was a Badass Genius. So go ahead and check out that and enjoy. And I'm going to be posting a new episode of What If Aizuna Uchiha was Naruto's ancestor on this channel. So stay tuned for that and I hope you guys do enjoy. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time hearing my voice and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. And remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be planning talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say we begin this new episode? Start the intro.
I think the girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done. I think the girls with their
So, the last spot we left off, Naruto and Sasuke dealt with the Sky Country as they placed all the civilians in the lower ship and flew them off, as Naruto destroyed it by using his clones to rip the place and crush it into the water. As Naruto was falling, he was caught by a tongue as it was from Gamabunta. He then noticed the tongue getting tighter and tighter, as Gamabunta then told him he heard that he's been sending Tamikichi to steal his sake. Naruto quickly substituted and started to run for his life. We then had a time skip as Naruto was called to Tsunade's office, as Naruto remembered what Sasuke told him, and Sasuke also told him about Root. Seeing that Sasuke was a Root agent and he was a fine and tried to act like an agent of Orochimaru until the time was right when he can slaughter the man, as Sasuke wanted Naruto to help him that. And also Sasuke, after getting Naruto DNA, when the both of them were fighting, he was using it to slow down his eye process. If he uses it a lot, he will go blind. But seeing that he has Naruto Senju DNA inside of him and the healing that come with it, his eyes don't hurt that much and he's able to use his abilities better. As Tsunade called Naruto, it was time to send him on a mission, as he was going to go there with the ambassador of Komo, as Naruto happy to see was Yujito. As the both of them headed off, as Sakura asked if it wise to let the both of them go out there by themselves, as Tsunade told Sakura that Naruto is perfectly able of taking care of himself and also he's been in a bad funk lately. As they were going there, Kurama asked Naruto when he's going to talk to the Hokage, seeing that Naruto has been putting it off as she lied to him and didn't tell him anything about Sasuke, and Naruto told him that he will tell her soon. After running a long way, Naruto created a house made from wood, as him and Yujito were getting comfortable on the bed until bandits interrupted them. As the group quickly dealt with the bandits and headed off to the sand, where Naruto updated Gaara's seal and held him back at Shikaku at the same time, but he passed out after exhaustion as Gaara felt it. He no longer heard the laughter or the screaming of Shikaku in his head, and he could perfectly sleep. As he brought Naruto back to the room, as Yujito saw that Naruto was unconscious, as she sighed. After some time passed, the group got what they needed as they were heading back. Another night in a house that Naruto created, Yujito couldn't help but looked at it with wonders as he created a mansion and it was guarded by those plants that Naruto created so no bandits would interrupt them, as the both of them had a wonderful night. A long distance away, Jiraiya's senses were going off as it seemed like his young apprentice just got lucky. As the group left the sand, Deidara and Sasori were going there. The nine-tailed Jinchuriki has left. That was their information given to them, so now they can start the strike on the sand. The leader said that he will take down the nine-tailed Jinchuriki himself. So yeah guys, it was basically the last part we left off. You guys can switch across the place and check it out for yourself. So, what do you say we begin this new episode? We begin this episode with Deidara and Sasori as they were at the border of the Wind Country as they were going to the Akatsuki hideout, as the unconscious redhead was captured, and that was the Kazekage, Gaara. as he was wrapped up in the foot of the bird. They continued their walk. That boy would have killed you if not for my intervention, said Sasori. Flashback, earlier that day, Deidara crashed roughly on the ground with several broken bones and burn marks as Gaara came crashing from the sky like a bullet. Sand started to swirl around Deidara violently. This is the end for you, said Gaara as sand started to swirl around him even more. Gaara was the first to notice Deidara flying around the sand with his clay bird. Gaara easily spotted it and knew something was wrong, seeing that those kind of birds didn't come anywhere near the sand because of the harsh terrain. After a long aerial fight between the bomber, Gaara managed to capture him with the sand. Before Gaara could crush him to pieces though, Deidara detonated a bomb, but Gaara managed to break some of his body parts. But Deidara was sent sailing away out of the village as he crashed down, and Gaara was sailing after him with his sand, which he receded in the air and landed in the ground like a boom. Damn it, Deidara said, as the sand was coming up on his chest. He was almost out of chakra. Before the sand could cover his body completely, it was blasted away by a shroud of iron sand. I told you to not make me wait, said Sasori, as he was standing next to the third Kazekage. And then you almost get yourself killed. Forget going solo, we will take him together, Sasori said, as Deidara pulled himself over towards Sasori. As Gaara looked at the both of them, see, the third Kazekage as a puppet. This was a rather unfair matchup, and now, the two S-rank shinobis turned their sights on him. End of the flashback. Well, Deidara said, he's a Kage of the village. Even though the sand seemed to be the weakest, he's still a Kage. Don't forget that he houses the Ichibai while fighting in the sand. But I think me and my art did pretty well despite the circumstances. How long till we get to the sealing area? Deidara asked. It shouldn't be too long, by sunrise we should be there. But it will take us 3 days to finish the sealing, said Sasori. No less hurry, I don't like making people wait. In Konoha, the next morning, Tsunade sat at her desk with paperwork, with Sakura behind her, looking at the paperwork. Just as they were about to sign the final document, Shizune burst inside with a note in her hand. Tsunade-sama, says Shizune. The sand was invaded by the Akatsuki and Gaara was taken hostage. Gaara was defeated first, and seen being abducted by Sasori of the Red Sand and Deidara from the stone. Based off Kankuro's viewpoint, he went after her too, but he was defeated by Sasori and left poison. Damn it, they must have struck after Naruto left, because there was no way he would let something like this happen. We have to get a hold of him somehow. What about the toad you used to talk to Jiraiya-sama? Asked Sakura, as Tsunade nodded. She pulled out a scroll from her desk. She then pulled out a vial of blood and dropped a few of it on the scroll. Summoning jutsu, she said, as she slammed her hand on the scroll. A poof of smoke later and a small red toad appeared on the desk. After writing a note, she gave it to the toad. Give this to Naruto as quickly as possible. Please hurry. The toad nodded before poofing away. Sasori of the Red Sand said Tsunade, he's a poison specialist, and if so, the sand may need a medic. Sakura, I have to send you to aid them, but I can't just send you alone. She then looked towards her window. Perfect timing, she said. Of course, nothing less. Though Naruto already be here, that toad was not necessary because we can just catch him on our way back, said Kakashi sitting at the window still. I heard everything, so Sakura, meet you at the gate in 10 minutes. Don't be late, he said as he poofed away. As Sakura turned towards Tsunade as Tsunade's sweat dropped. Coming from Kakashi-sensei, Sakura said, as she disappeared in a swirl of cherry blossom as she vanished to get her stuff to get ready. 3 days later, Naruto and Yujito were speeding through the forest as fast as possible, trying to get to where the Akatsuki members departed to. They were nearly back to Konoha when a small toad appeared in front of him, giving the sad news that Gaara was captured. He immediately made a reverse turn, as it took him and Yujito 3 days to get back to the sand. They were joined by Kakashi and Sakura, but they left ahead of those two. Seeing that Sakura was healing Kankuro, they were near the place as Naruto could sense a large chakra signature. But he then sensed two smaller ones. Yuji-chan, Naruto said Naruto as he was in his envoy uniform without his mask on. They sent someone to stop us from getting to Gaara. Actually two, and if they're who I think it is, we're going to have some trouble, be ready. Yujito was clad in an all-black outfit, complete with a face mask identical to Kakashi's own. She pulled her mask down. I'm ready, she said. We can't let those in the Akatsuki take one of us without a fight. Be careful, she said, as she sneaked a kiss with Naruto before pulling her face mask back up. He then took off faster with Yujito right behind him. About a minute later, they landed in a clearing to see two figures, both Akatsuki cloak wearing. Itachi, Kisame. We meet again, Naruto said, as he and Yujito stood parallel across from Itachi and Kisame. Something feels off, Naruto thought, as he looked at the both of them. It's been a time, Naruto-kun, said Itachi in his usual emotionless voice. And it's a pleasure to meet you, Yujito-san. Yujito nodded. Of course it is, except for the fact that you're killing someone at the moment, or that you're an organization hell-bent on capturing the tailed beasts, one of which I happen to house. Kisame chuckled slightly. Well, enough of this talking, he said. You're trying to get to your friend, and you know we're here to stop you. Let's get to it, he said as he dashed towards them with a swing of his blade. Naruto pulled out a 3-pronged kunai as he blocked the large sword. While Naruto and Kisame were locked in that, Yujito attempted to strike down Kisame on his blind side, but she was stopped by Itachi. Itachi and Yujito then engaged each other in a taijutsu battle as they drifted away from Kisame and Naruto. Seems that brat I met 3 years ago in Tanzuka Gai has grown up, Kisame said with his usual smirk. You're a lot stronger. Strong enough to match me. I'm impressed. Maybe. But then again, you're a lot weaker than I remember. As Naruto was studying Kisame, I would say even less than half of what you were 3 years ago. So either you gotten weaker or it's some kind of jutsu, Naruto said. Nevertheless, as Naruto leaped back, as both him and Kisame slammed their hands together, creating a jutsu. Water style, great exploding water colliding wave, Kisame said as he spat out a huge mouthful of water. It covered the entire area in a wave. The wave tearing towards Naruto, Earth style. Rampart, Naruto said, as a giant wall lifted up at Naruto's feet, as the wave crashed into it. As Kisame looked up to see Naruto holding the ram seal, Kisame was about to retreat back, but 3 walls of earth rise up around him, boxing him in. 2 wood clones morph out of the original Naruto body as he prepares technique. Wind style, toad oil bullet, Naruto said, as he spew out a torrent of wind in ants oil, thanks to a clone pressing a palm on his back and funneling wind into his oil bullet. The high-speed oil hit Kisame with tremendous force as Naruto's other clone thrust the kunai, the explosive tag, as it made contact with the oil. Boom! The massive explosion tore through the entire area, destroying the walls. As Naruto and his clones landed on the ground, as they checked for Kisame. As Naruto turned, as he turned to see Kisame walking up towards him, just after breaking out of the ground. That's a nice combination, Kisame said, but it's gonna take a lot more than that to defeat me. I have no time for this, Naruto said. His clones reverted back down into the ground, as he placed on his Gamma mask. So you're using that, are you? Kurama said. Naruto nodded as the red marking started to appear on his face. Not that Kisame could see it because of his mask. And I guess you put the mask on to prevent him from seeing it and possibly report him back to his leader. Pretty smart thinking, but he will sense the power up. Damn right it's smart, Naruto said. Plus, I always want to test this jutsu on a real opponent, and I can use it without drawback in Sage mode. As Naruto held out his hand as a Rasengan form, the ground around him started to crumble as he added earth manipulation into the jutsu. Naruto Rasengan started to give off a power drill noise as a muddy feature started to swirl around it. As the Rasengan turned a light brown color with a spiraling spear around it that was pointing directly at Kisame. As the spear came up on Naruto's arm like a drill, just vibrating around at tremendous speed with the Rasengan at the top of his fingertips. Kisame had to start to flail wildly in Kisame's hand as Kisame received the message clear. I know, you could probably feel that massive spike of chakra miles away. And I'm not stupid to not know that jutsu is incredibly powerful, Kisame said. But then again, that thing is made of chakra, and I have the perfect jutsu to use again. Kisame's eyes widened as Naruto appeared in front of him in the sunshine. Too fast, he said. Sage chart, earth style, spiraling spear. As Naruto drilled the jutsu into Kisame's gut. As the spear hit Kisame, a massive shockwave occurred, tearing through the landscape around them. Kisame had to try to absorb it, but he was blown away from the violent raw power from Naruto. As the Rasengan exploded a second later, sending Kisame flying. As Naruto shook his arm off, hell yeah, that is even better than when I did it in Mount Miyaboku, Naruto said. I can't wait to tell Jiraiya about this one. As Naruto then followed Kisame since his body was sent flying to where Itachi and Yujito were earlier. After Itachi led Yujito out of the clearing away from Naruto and Kisame, having enough of trying to hit him, Yujito speed through hand sign. Mouse hairball, she said, as she fired off a massive blue fireball at Itachi. "Dodge this," she said. At the last second, it broke off into dozen of smaller fireballs that launched in on Itachi. Yujito was surprised when the attack hit him and sent him flying back into a tree. But upon hitting the tree, Itachi burst into crows. "Wake up, kitten, it's a genjutsu." Upon being released out of the genjutsu, the crows turned to fast-coming shurikens. They extend their fingernails. With grace and agility, Yujito dodged the numerous amount of shurikens, and which anyone she couldn't, she sliced right through them with her fingernails. She sliced right through them as she then launched to the right, jumping a nearby bush. Itachi came jumping out of the bush as she dashed towards him, trying to slice him down. Itachi flipped up and landed on a nearby tree branch. Yujito smirked as she looked up. "Is a member of the mighty Uchiha clan running?" she asked. "I thought that in a one-on-one fight, you should always run from a member of your clan. I guess that's kind of true though, since one of us is running." As her fingernails were seated back to their normal size, Itachi's expression never changed though. "It's not a matter of me running away. My job was to just slow you and Naruto down. I am not here to win by any means," he said, as he placed his hand up to his mouth. Fire style. Great fireball jutsu, as he fired off a massive fireball towards Yujito. "I didn't even see him go through hand signs," she said, as she went through hand signs for her own. Fire style, fire bullet, as she blew off a large blue fireball. The two jutsus clashed into each other as they fought for dominance. Yujito started to dominate the Uchiha as her fire was pushing back against his. Then she saw something that shocked her. Another Itachi appeared, jumping from behind the first one, already going through hand signs. "Fire style, Phoenix Sage fire technique," he said, as he sent out a dozen miniature fireballs at the still breathing fire Yujito. Halfway to her, her entire body became cloaked in a Jinchuriki cloak, as she was bathed in a blue chakra cloak. Thanks to the white necklace given to her by Naruto, it helped tame the potent chakra of the Nibe and turn it into a true Jinchuriki cloak like Naruto's. An arm appeared from the cloak and swatted away the fireballs. As Yujito increased her fire in the first fireball, and the fireball engulfed Itachi and turned him into a poof. "He's good," she said. That first Itachi was an actual clone. He was hiding out this entire time, as she was still in her chakra cloak, as the arm receded back. "You're right, kitten. With those eyes of his, he can counter your speed, and not to mention how fast he is already. It's gonna be tough, but in your Jinchuriki cloak, you should be able to get him, especially with the increased speed. Maybe you..." The Nibi then stopped as she felt a massive spike of chakra. "Do you feel that, kitten?" Who couldn't feel that, she said, as the chakra was incredible. "Is that Naruto? Never felt something so powerful. He's even stronger than the Raikage. Is that the Kyuubi?" she said. "No, kitten, there's not an ounce of Kurama's power in there. That's all him." Meanwhile, Itachi had a small smile on his face. It seems like Naruto has finished playing around. He has gotten stronger, as he could see a massive earth wave heading towards him and Yujito. Yujito jumped out of the way, as Itachi was currently on a tree, so he didn't have to move. The wave of earth went flying past them and out of sight, but you could make out Kisame inside of it. "That's an impressive jutsu, and it looks like he's arrived here now." Naruto appeared next to Yujito in a sunshine, still with his mask on, as the wind was blowing violently around them, making Naruto and Yujito's ear blow. As Naruto took off his mask and looked at Itachi. "Wind is blowing strong right here," Naruto said. "So how is your cloak not moving?" As Yujito then took notice of that fact as well. "You know what, you were right. We were fighting and he was moving around a lot and his cloak never moved." "It's crazy now that you made me notice," she said, as the Naruto beside her then poofed away. Another Naruto already behind Itachi and thrust a three-pronged kunai into his back. "I knew it wouldn't be that easy," Naruto said, as Itachi detonated on him. The Itachi that Naruto stopped turned out to be another clone, using the clone Great Explosion. That was just a wood clone from Naruto. "Over there, to the left, kitten," said Nibe, as Yujito turned to see another Naruto with his mask on, as he had a Rasengan in his hand, thrusting towards Itachi. Sage Art, Big Ball Rasengan, as he slammed it into Itachi directly, the real Itachi. While in Sage mode, Naruto could sense where the real Itachi was, and got to him and disposed of him easily. It was strange, but Naruto could have sworn that he saw a smile on Itachi's face when he defeated him. Itachi was sent blasting away from Naruto and sent straight out into the forest as there was a massive explosion from Naruto's attack. As Yujito landed beside him, suddenly there was a massive explosion in the distance. Naruto's attack that he hit Kisame with was just detonating. Damn, That thing just exploded, said Kurama. It's on a scale near to a Biju bomb, he said. I mean, you can just say it, Naruto said. I impressed you. Come on, I'm waiting. Kurama scoffed. Alright then, I'll take that, Naruto said. It's better than nothing. No to find Gaara. He closed his eyes behind his mask and focused on his sensory ability. After a few seconds, he found a wave of chakra that was being released that matched Shikaku's. As Naruto opened his eyes to see Yujito, as she was still in awe over the Rasengan that go off moments ago. Yuji-chan, we have to hurry, Naruto said. I can barely feel his chakra. Snapping Naruto for a state of awe as he dashed off as she sprinted behind him. Please, make it in time, Naruto said. As Yujito was having a tough time keeping up with Naruto, even in her Jinchuriki cloak. Did he power up or something? Or is he so much faster or stronger, she said. I'll have to ask him later, she thought. Eventually they landed in a ravine, facing a huge boulder that blocked the entrance to where Gaara was with a tag on it. That's a 5 seal barrier tag, right? Yujito asked, as Naruto nodded, impressed at her knowledge of knowing them. Well, I do have a seal master for a boyfriend and all, she said. But anyway, the only way past is by taking off this and the other 4 at the same time, correct? That's one way of doing it, Naruto said. Or we could, as he leaped up to the boulder, as he pulled out a paintbrush and the ink, as Naruto started to draw on the seal tag in front of him. When he was finished, he held his hands together. Release, he said, as the tag slowly turned blank and burned away. Whoa, sealing is incredible, she said. Naruto then pulled back his fist as he drove it down into the boulder. It exploded as him and Yujito dashed inside. But it was too late, as they came to see Deidara sitting down on a motionless Gaara with Sasori beside him. Seems like you finally arrived, said Deidara, as he picked himself up. But it seems like you're too late. Your friend here is already dead. Yujito looked sad at that, even though she hadn't known Gaara for too long. He was still a person, even at Jinchuriki. Naruto's face could not be shown because of the mask, but if they could see his face, they would see blood-red rage. We have to get out of here. Leader Sama said that the Kyuubi Jinchuriki should not be faced, and from what Kisame and Itachi just said about their encounter with him, it will be wise to leave this place. Sasori thought. Deidara felt the same way as well. He didn't want any interaction with him, especially after what he just heard and how the leader described his power, and Zetsu as well. Deidara pulled out a clay bird as he prepared to ditch the area. Before he could make his bird grow to the right size, Naruto appeared in front of him in a flash with a sunshine, with his 3-pronged kunai already aiming towards his throat. Damn it, he's just as fast like Kisame said. As the both of them managed to jump away though from the area, Naruto stood beside the body of Gaara as he looked down at the body. Naruto pricked his finger in his kunai as he went through hand sign and slammed his hand down on the ground. A toad appeared as he swallowed up Gaara and then vanished. While that was happening, Deidara and Sasori already hopped on the bird as they were ready to escape. But that plan was stopped, however, from 4 Naruto clone outside. 4 Violent Flame Formation. As the original Naruto looked up at the 2 Akatsuki members as he pulled off his mask. The red markings around his eyes and his forehead were at full display as he stared at the both of them. You think you're leaving here alive? I'm gonna kill the both of you, he said, as the ground cracked under the weight of his power. This is not good, thought Deidara, as he and Sasori looked on at the sage, Jinchuriki, outside. Hurry, Sakura, we're almost there, Kakashi said, as he, Sakura and his dog summon raced through the forest. As they dealt with Conqueror, and know they were going to back up Naruto and Yujito. Back inside of the cave, Deidara and Sasori were looking down as the orange chakra started covering Naruto's entire body. No matter how you look at it, one of us will die today. Don't worry, I'll be the decoy. Not to mention that Nibi Jinchuriki standing right there, said Sasori. My abilities are better for the chance of taking them on. While I distract them, you find a way to take down this barrier. All you have to do is take down one of the user and it should dissipate. You have to get this and go back to Leader Sama about the Jinchuriki's power. Deidara nodded, but right after he nodded, the ground burst open under Naruto as a massive wooden structure came out. The 2 Akatsuki members watched as a wooden version of the 9-tailed fox was created. Sage art, wood style, 9-tailed fox, Naruto thought, as the orange chakra that was surrounding him molded into the wooden fox below. Once it settled in, the fox's eyes glowed a bright orange as it released a roar. Yujito, still cloaked in her blue chakra, jumped on top of the fox. Naruto, don't you think it's a bit much, she said. Its once golden eyes were now orange and split. A combination of Kurama and his own sage mode. Yuji-chan, they killed Gaara. What did Gaara ever do to deserve this, Naruto said. As Naruto finished talking, the wooden fox opened his mouth as a giant Rasengan started to form. You fool, if you continue this, you're putting too much power. It will just bounce off the barrier and detonate in here with you, said Kurama. You have to release the barrier if you plan to use that jutsu on that scale. You're right, but it will detonate in here. But me and Yuji-chan will be fine. As long as we're inside the wooden domain of the fox, it will be able to withstand the power. I guess that Anvu training really does help, said Kurama. Even though he's angry, he's able to think calm. If this was him a few years ago, he would have tapped blind and get killed. As the head of the fox opened, as Naruto and Yujito went down inside of it, as the Rasengan finished forming, it was like a giant Biju bomb. As he took aim, no matter where he sent it out, everything would explode. Sasori quickly pulled out a scroll as he summoned 100 puppets. Deidara, you ready? All the puppets then activate Chakra Shield and surrounded around Deidara and Sasori. Sage Art, Naruto said, spiraling cannon, as it blasted a violent wave of energy, as everything went up in a boom, as the entire place shake and bubble under the attack, as the fox form hell, as Naruto and Yujito came out of it unscathed. When the jutsu died down, Yuji-chan, Naruto said, they're still alive, and one of them escaped, as Deidara took the chance to escape, and now the barrier was down. That was the scene that Kakashi and Sakura came upon. Go with Kakashi, and deal with him. I'll deal with the one in here, Naruto said, as Yujito nodded, as Kakashi and Sakura saw Yujito coming out of the cave with a blue cloak around her, as they also saw the man on top of the clay bird. As Yujito stopped as she looked down, Kakashi-san, come with me. We're going to get him while Sakura go in the cave and help Naruto. The both of them nodded as Kakashi went with her, as Sakura leaped into the cave to join Naruto. Inside the cave, there was an impressive jutsu kid. It was able to destroy all of my puppets. But I'm still here, said Sasori, as his body was now revealed. As he was a man of average height and shaggy red hair. The weird thing was he looked the same age as Naruto, or even slightly younger. That doesn't make sense. I heard that he was an important fighter for the Sand, the 3rd Great Shinobi War. That's how he earned his name Sasori as a Red Sand. How could he be my age? Naruto then saw a pink blur appear behind Sasori. Cherry Blossom Impact, Sakura shouted, as the full force of her fist connected with Sasori's back. His body split apart as he fly past Naruto in pieces. You okay, Naruto? He didn't get you with any of his weapons, did he? Kankuro had a mere scratch and he was close to dying. His poisons are nothing like I've ever seen. As Naruto shook his head no, Sakura then took notice of the red markings on his face. Naruto, is that safe? But she was cut off as Naruto appeared beside her. Sage Art, water style, Galantorin, Naruto said, as he spewed out a large amount of water towards Sasori, who was now back intact after Sakura delivered that punch. Sasori fired out 2 streams of fire from his palms. But Naruto's water wave was so more powerful as it sent Sasori washing away. We need to hurry, said Naruto. Even though I think Yuji-chan and Kakashi can handle that guy, I want to make sure. I agree, Naruto, but we need to find his weak spot. There is no way he could have just shrugged off my punch like that, she said. It's clear that he's just a puppet, but there has to be something powering him. You're right, Sakura-chan, Naruto said, but I think I know what it is, as he whispered something to her ear. A nod from Sakura as the both of them took fighting stances. It's time for me to show you the strongest Gekigenkai in all of the Sand Village. The Iron Sand, as he pulled one of the scrolls off his back. The scroll disappeared in a poof of smoke as a puppet came out. The 3rd Kazekage. Sasori then spoke. Sand, drizzle. As dozens of iron ball raced towards Naruto and Sakura. Sakura never moved as Naruto slammed a palm on the ground. A gigantic hand came from the ground, wood style. Laughing Buddha Jutsu, Naruto said, as a gigantic hand blocked all of the attacks. Several more giant hands appear out of the ground, trying to smash Sasori. Sasori wasn't having that as he prepared another of the Kazekage Jutsu. The iron sand compressed itself into a large sword that sliced through the wooden hands. Iron sand gathering assault, Sasori said, as the hands thudded on the ground. The hand that protected Naruto and Sakura fell back in place, as it only revealed Sakura, as she had her hands in an X motion, as suddenly her skin started to turn a bright red. 8 gate Gate of life release, Sakura said, as her eyes show off a pink glow. She then disappeared in a burst of speed as she approached Sasori. Sakura was clearly no pushover nowadays. She trained hard during her time under Tsunade and even got some help from Rock Lee and Guy Sensei, as she was able to open inner gates, but she was only able to go up to the third gate, but that was good. Not to mention the fact that her speed and strength are amplified because of the gate's influence, and Sasori wasn't expecting the change. Iron Sand World Method, he said, as the iron sand started to branch out around him, creating a web of iron sand that made it difficult to navigate through. The web nearly caught Sakura as she had to stop to avoid them, as they ripped from the ground trying to stab right through her. She could also see a ton of traces of poison in the sand, as she was now surrounded in the center as multiple of the spikes rose up. Now die, Sasori said. Before it could though, Sasori felt a sharp pain in his chest as the sand around Sakura fell down. He looked down to see a 3-pronged kunai sticking through his chest. He looked to see Naruto behind him with the kunai buried right into his heart, his only weakness. How did you move so fast? You were nowhere near me, said Sasori, as he knew that Naruto was behind Sakura, behind the wall, and there was no way he could move that fast without him realizing it. That was just a clone. I was underground just now, Naruto said, as he used a hide-in, like a mole technique, to sneak up to him. Naruto channeled wind chakra through his kunai and ripping it through Sasori's body, killing him instantly. Naruto then pulled out a scroll as he sealed Sasori away along with the third Kazekage, as he nodded to Sakura as they took off to catch up with Yujito and Kakashi. But they came outside to see the two coming back. What happened? Well, we were pursuing him, and then he exploded, Kakashi said. He just committed suicide. After I said that we would capture him and get info out of him, he just stopped and blew himself up. Wow, I guess members of the Akatsuki are committed, Sakura said, as Yujito walked over and placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. Are you alright, she asked, as the markings on Naruto's face vanished. It took him a moment, but he looked up at Yujito. Yeah, I'm fine. I just wish we could have gotten to Gaara in time to save him. We still can, came the voice of the elderly lady. You still have the body, as it was Lady Chiyo. Naruto nodded. Who are you though, he asked. That's Lady Chiyo, elder from the sand, said Sakura. Naruto bit his thumb as he summoned his toad from the earlier, as the toad came and released Gaara, as it dispelled itself, leaving Gaara's body on the ground. Lady Chiyo kneeled down in front of Gaara, as she placed her hands on his chest as a blue chakra enveloped her hands. What are you doing, Naruto said. But he then felt that Gaara's chakra was starting to come back. Are you restoring his life? How? This is a kinjutsu that only I know these days. It's called One Own Life Reincarnation, said Chiyo. As Naruto was about to say something, but Lady Chiyo stopped him. I know what I'm doing. You can feel it. But I understand the consequences of my actions. But I lived a long life, and I feel my time was about up anyway. But the sand needs Gaara, and I'm sure with him leading the sand, we will become a much better village with him, especially with a friend like you. As Lady Chiyo smiled softly. The next day, Gaara, Kankuro, Temari, all of them, they were at Lady Chiyo's funeral after her valiant sacrifice. Meanwhile, that was going on somewhere underground. Thank you, Deidara, said the leader of the Akatsuki. You're dismissed, as Deidara vanished. The leader also vanished, as he opened his eyes. It seems like the Jinchuriki has grown incredibly strong. So it seems, a voice said in the shadows. It appears not even a god can stop him right now. No matter how strong the Jinchuriki becomes, he will never beat pain, said Konan. You may be right, but what if I can help you? The voice from the shadows said. What could you mean? Pain asked. In due time, the voice said from the shadows, as he vanished. Time skip. 1 week later. Naruto, we need to go. Tsunade is calling us, said Sakura, as they were being summoned to go on a mission which Naruto was the leader for, yet he was here messing around with this kid. As Naruto turned towards her, a few more minutes, he said, as Konohamaru dashed towards him, fire style. Ash pile burning as he spewed ash that consumed Naruto. Once it surrounded Naruto completely, he clicked his teeth as the ash exploded into flames. Hell yeah, he said, as he moved his scarf away from his tuning vest. Konohamaru had grown up well due to his private training with Ebisu and his two teammates Mogi and Udon. He became a genin at the age of 12, and 1 year later he became Chunin in the exam at Komo, granting him position of Chunin for his skills. Like all members of Sarutobi clan, he was skilled in fire manipulation and taijutsu. And just like his grandfather, he was also a staff technique user. I know that wouldn't be enough to get you, said Konohamaru as he went through hand sign. Summoning jutsu. As a monkey as tall as him appeared. Konohamaru, what's up man? You need something? Came the surprisingly deep voice from the teenage ape. Hey Yuma, can you transform for me? I need to kick my rival's ass, said Konohamaru, as the monkey transformed, as he poofed into a large staff with a red shaft and golden tips, as Konohamaru raised the staff up into the ground, before driving it down into the ground, as the ground exploded, as Naruto flipped out of it, as Konohamaru retracted his staff back to its normal size, as Naruto smiled. What do you think about that, boss? Pretty good, huh? As Naruto nodded. You're getting there, I'll have to ask Bachan, but you do seem like you're Anvu material. However, you're still not enough to beat me, Naruto said. Wood style, slumbering binding technique, as a branch flew out of his palm, then turned into a web of branches. Crap, Konohamaru says he smashed the first couple of branches, but he couldn't stop all of them as they bind around him. Damn, I'll find a way to get past your Mokiton. Boss? Boss? As Naruto vanished. Boss, Konohamaru cried out. Let me down from here, he said. Moments later, Hokage's tower. Tenchi Bridge? Naruto questioned. As he finished reading the scroll, Orochimaru will be there, along with Sasuke probably. At the name Sasuke, Naruto noticed Sakura twitch at the name. At least she didn't get somber about it anymore. Or, did she already know what was going on? Did Bachan already tell her? I mean, she's pretty high about being an assistant of the Hokage. Maybe she already knows, Naruto thought, as he went back into focus on what Tsunade was saying. Yes, Naruto, we received intel that Sasori was to meet up with a spy of Orochimaru, but that was actually a way for Orochimaru to take out the dead Newton. That is why we're sending you. Seeing that you were with him and saw what he actually spoke like, you can transform into him so you can take out his spy in Orochimaru, while also trying to find out a lead on Sasuke. What happens if we find Sasuke? Asked Sakura. Well, Sasuke is considered A-rank Newtoning unofficially, so you will handle it like any other A-rank Newtonins. Capture him if possible. But if not, put him down. Bring him back either dead or alive. Said Tsunade in a stern voice, but Sakura's face never changed. Well, if that is that, then you two are good to go. I would send more people, but I believe the both of you can handle this by yourself. And if necessary, you can always flee faster with just 2 people. Make haste, as we only have 2 more days until our window of opportunity is up. And one more thing, be careful. As Sakura vanished. Actually, Bachan, Konohamaru have hopes of joining Anvu. Maybe I can take him along with me on this mission. And I've gone against him, he can handle himself in a fight, and he know what to do. But I would like to see him on a real mission before I give him my recommendation. Is that finer to ask? As Tsunade thought over it for a second. His performance in the last Chunin exam was good. Hell, he even won. Okay, bring him along, but be sure to not let him hold you back. I would like to see that this mission get completed, she said, as Naruto nodded and vanished. Back at Training Ground 22. How the hell am I supposed to get out of this, Konohamaru shouted, as he then heard footsteps behind him. The branches that were tied around him receded down into the ground. Hey Konohamaru, I want you to go on a mission with me. Are you okay with that, Naruto asked, as Konohamaru turned around, a big grin on his face. Of course I am, boss. This will be our first mission together. Time skip. 2 days later, Tenchi Bridge. Just so you guys remember, this is an A-rank mission, Naruto said, as he landed with his teammates. Our mission parameters are to ambush Orochimaru when he attempts to ambush Sasori. If possible, we are to capture him. If not, we are to kill the target. The same goes for his spy. As Sakura nodded, but Konohamaru's hands were shaking. Orochimaru, he's the one who killed Jiji. I'll kill him. Konohamaru, Naruto snapping from his thoughts. I know how you feel. Jiji was precious to me as well. But if you let your emotions take control right now, you will surely fail. You can contain your emotions. That is when you can handle yourself well. It's like a Rasengan. When it's controlled and calm, it works well. But when it is unstable, it bursts out in a wide direction, Naruto said. As Konohamaru looked at Naruto's stars in his eyes, as Sakura scoffed, what kind of lesson was that? It made sense, but he could have used something way better, she said. Or at least said it better, she thought. Naruto then went through hand sign, wood style, elemental transformation, as the ground underneath him burst open as branches surrounded him, along with a poof, as he turned into a perfect replica of Sasori. So, how do I look, he said. How the hell are we supposed to know, Sakura said. You were the only one that saw him like that. Right, anyway, I'll go out and meet the spy, Naruto said. After getting information out of him, I will attempt to capture him. as Naruto started to mimic Sasori's voice until it sounded perfectly like how it sounded. When Orochimaru does show up, I will signal you two to come out. I can take Orochimaru by myself, but I don't know how powerful his subordinate may be. So be ready on my signal, and only on my signal. Got it, Konohamaru? Yeah, boss, I won't let you down, Konohamaru said, as Naruto nodded. Moments later, Tenchi Bridge, as Naruto waited as he saw the spy showed up. It's good to see you again, Sasori-sama. As the spy removed his hood. Kabuto? Oh, this is better than just getting Orochimaru, thought Naruto. Kabuto, Naruto said, in his dark, Sasori tone. Were you followed? Kabuto looked around for a second. No, we're fine, Kabuto said. Good, how are you holding up, Sasori said. I still feel a bit shaken from when your technique was released, and when I remember who I really was. My mind is a bit cloudy as well. I have some questions for you. Tell me about the hideouts. And that Uchiha boy, said Sasori. Kabuto nodded as he relayed all the information he had on those two subjects. Meanwhile that was going on, Kabuto is a spy, said Sakura. As Konohamaru pulled his mask out and put it on. It was a monkey mask. Trying to join Envu, huh? Said Sakura. I remember when both of my teammates did the same. You're not just doing this because of Naruto, are you? She asked. No, but in a way I was influenced by the boss. I plan to join Envu and get really good, and once boss becomes Hokage, he will make me his right hand man, the Envu commander. Which means eventually I will become Hokage once he gives up the hat to me. What makes you so sure that Naruto is gonna become Hokage? I mean, it's not set in... What am I even saying? Said Sakura. Of course he's gonna become Hokage. Did they notice movement on the bridge? Boss, Konohamaru said, ready to jump in anytime. On the bridge. If you hadn't pulled out that kunai, Sasori, I wouldn't have been able to dodge it in time. Came the voice of Kabuto standing next to Sasori as they were looking at Orochimaru. Just the man I was looking for. I guess we can have a little fun before I call over those two. Huh, Sasori. That outfit reminded me of the old days. Hope you don't mind if I intrude on this interesting piece of conversation. Orochimaru, so I see you follow Kabuto. Don't be rude, I just thought I would come and thank you, old friend. That's all. Kabuto handed Glow a bright blue color before it ripped right through the body of Sasori. Naruto quickly jumped out of the puppet. Many hidden shadow snakes, Orochimaru said as he thrust them out of his shoulder. The snakes wrapped themselves around Naruto and bit down into him, but he switched himself with a wooden puppet. It seemed trouble has appeared, said Orochimaru as the real Naruto came from the ground. I didn't expect to see you here, Naruto-kun. I would be lying if I said I wasn't expecting to see you here, Orochimaru. And it's good to see you, Kabuto, Naruto said. Why don't you bring out those other two pests that are hiding, Orochimaru said. Naruto flicked his hand as Orochimaru saw the two others landing beside Naruto in a quick motion. Sakura, do you mind handling Kabuto? Of course, Sakura said. I heard about his small, tiny fluke over Tsunade-sama years ago, and you think that he's worth some kind of victory. I guess I need to show this glasses-wearing freak that slugs are better than snakes, she said. Kabuto's hand glowed a bright blue. What makes you think that plan of yours would work? You would have to forcefully remove me from... Oh, he couldn't get to finish that sentence, as the both of them heard a spiraling sound as a Rasengan smashed right into Kabuto's back, sending him flying past Sakura. As Konohamaru and Naruto was now in front of Orochimaru. Let's do this, shall we? Naruto said. But guys, we'll be ending this episode right here. If you want to see the next part, if you already know what to do, like, subscribe, comment down below and turn that bell notifications stay posted. Remember to share to all of your friends in your social media platform, and stay in tune for the rest of the what is coming your way, and I hope you guys enjoy each and every one of them. But for now, I'm out here. See you guys soon. Peace.